Phantom of Wardenclyffe, Nikola Tesla, and the War for Tomorrow. Part 1. The Spark in the Dark. Imagine a world where electricity is not a bill, but a breath, free, abundant, and everywhere. Imagine a time when a single man held the blueprints for this utopia, only to have his vision buried under a mountain of debt, betrayal, and the furious ambition of one of history's greatest industrialists.
The year was 1884. New York City, a colossal engine of brick and iron, was burning through coal and sweat, its streets still lit by a flickering, dirty, and dangerous gaslight. Down in the cluttered, sprawling offices of Thomas Edison, the wizard of Menlo Park was the undisputed king. He was selling a revolution, direct current, DC, which was reliable, easy to meter, and crucially required a power station every mile or so. It was a perfect business model, controlled, centralized, and immensely profitable. Then, a young man arrived from Europe. He was impossibly tall, unnaturally thin, and possessed a gaze so intense it seemed to penetrate walls. His name was Nikola Tesla. He carried two things: 4 cents in his pocket and a letter of recommendation from his former boss in Paris, addressed to Edison. It read simply, "My dear Mr. Edison, I know 2 great men, and you are one of them. The other is this young man." Edison, a pragmatist and a shrewd businessman, was unimpressed by the mystical intensity of the Serbian immigrant. He saw a gifted mechanic, not a visionary rival. He tasked Tesla with solving a notorious electrical engineering problem plaguing his newly installed DC system, the inefficient dynamos. It was grunt work, but Tesla, needing the money, plunged into the labor. 6 months later, Tesla not only fixed Edison's current dynamos, but completely redesigned them, creating 24 variations that dramatically improved efficiency and cut costs. He approached Edison, eager for the promised $50,000 bonus, a king's ransom at the time. Edison, legend claims, merely laughed. "Tesla," he reportedly said, "you don't understand our American humor." He offered a raise of $10 a week instead. This moment, this singular, callous dismissal, was the atom that split the electrical age. Tesla, insulted and realizing the depth of the betrayal, quit on the spot. He walked out of Edison's office and into the cold, harsh anonymity of New York, a genius now unemployed and penniless. Part 2. The Current Wars and the Rise of AC. For a brief, agonizing period, Tesla was forced to work as a ditch digger for $2 a day, his brilliant mind condemned to manual labor, but his vision, the vision of a superior electrical system, refused to die.
Tesla's entire life was predicated on a belief in alternating current, AC. Unlike Edison's DC, which flows constantly in one direction and loses power quickly over distance, AC oscillates back and forth. This simple, elegant difference allows AC to be stepped up to extremely high voltages for efficient long-distance transmission, and then stepped down safely for home use. It was the future, a system that could power a whole state from a single waterfall. Working in secret with investors he managed to attract, Tesla perfected his most crucial invention, the induction motor, a device that ran on AC and required no commutator, meaning no brushes, no friction, and minimal maintenance. It was the motor that would truly power the modern world, a masterpiece of rotating magnetic fields. Without it, the vast factories, elevators, and appliances of the 20th century would have been impossible. In 1888, the American industrial giant George Westinghouse recognized the scale of Tesla's genius. Westinghouse was a brilliant inventor in his own right, known for the railway air brake, and he saw AC not just as a technology, but as a path to challenging Edison's DC monopoly. He bought the patents for Tesla's polyphase AC system for a staggering sum, $60,000 in cash and stock, plus a royalty of $2.50 per AC horsepower manufactured. The War of the Currents officially began. Edison, whose fortune and legacy were entirely tied to DC, fought back with a campaign of terror and misinformation. He funded public demonstrations where animals, dogs, cats, even a circus elephant named Topsy, were gruesomely electrocuted with high-voltage AC to convince the public that Tesla's system was lethal. Edison even secretly backed the development of the first electric chair for executions, ensuring it ran on alternating current, hoping to forever associate AC with death. Tesla, meanwhile, maintained a calm, scientific demeanor, his counter-demonstrations relying on dazzling spectacles of light and harmless personal electrification. His calm assurance, combined with Westinghouse's relentless business drive, began to win over the country. The true turning point came in 1893, the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. This was America's greatest display of progress, and the contract to light the entire fair was the greatest electrical prize in history. Edison bid to use DC, offering to light the fair for $1 million. Westinghouse, using Tesla's AC system, undercut him, winning the contract for less than half the price. When the switch was thrown, the Chicago Exposition was bathed in the light of over 100,000 incandescent bulbs powered by Tesla's AC system. It was hailed as the White City, a glowing spectacle of progress, while the rest of Chicago remained in the dingy gloom of gaslight. The public was convinced AC was superior. Part 3. Taming the Colossus and the Broken Contract. The success at Chicago led to the greatest electrical engineering achievement of the 19th century, harnessing Niagara Falls. The immense power of the falls was to be captured and transmitted all the way to Buffalo, New York, 22 miles away. This was impossible with DC. In 1895, the Adams Power Plant opened, using massive AC generators designed by Tesla. The event was not just a technical victory, it was a philosophical one. A natural wonder, a raw force of nature, was finally tamed and transformed into power distributed across the land. The world was now, definitively, an AC world. As AC systems swept across the globe, Tesla's royalty agreement with Westinghouse, the $2.50 per horsepower, promised him a fortune that would have dwarfed that of Rockefeller or Carnegie. He was on the brink of becoming the first true technological billionaire. But Westinghouse was in trouble. The fierce, expensive current war and a financial panic had pushed the Westinghouse company to the brink of bankruptcy. J.P. Morgan, the ruthless financier, was circling, ready to take over the company and seize control of the AC patents. In a dramatic meeting, Westinghouse sat Tesla down and laid out the desperate truth. If Morgan seized the patents, Tesla would receive nothing, and the AC system, the technology they had fought so hard to establish, would be swallowed up by the DC-favoring financial interests. He pleaded with him, explaining that if Tesla would simply tear up the royalty contract, the company could survive and continue to push the AC standard. What Tesla did next is one of the most astonishing acts of self-sacrifice in the history of innovation. He looked at the contract, a document that represented untold billions and a life of guaranteed luxury, and without a word, he tore it into pieces and threw it into the fireplace. "Mr. Westinghouse," Tesla reportedly said, "you saved my system from the enemies. This money would be a terrible drain on your company, and you shall not be embarrassed, for the world will be a monument to my work." Tesla willingly forfeited the most valuable financial contract in history to save the future of alternating current. He saved AC, but he sacrificed his own financial future.
forever placing himself outside the inner circle of American capital. He remained a genius, but now he was financially vulnerable, a target for rivals, and a pawn for future unfulfilled dreams. Part 4. The Grandest Dream, Wardenclyffe. Unburdened by business and driven by an even greater vision, Tesla's mind turned to his ultimate goal, the world wireless system. He had already pioneered radio technology, demonstrating its principles years before Marconi, a fact that was later confirmed by the U.S. Supreme Court. But Tesla didn't want to just send messages. He wanted to send power. He envisioned a global network that would transmit electrical energy and information through the ground and the upper atmosphere, accessible to anyone, anywhere, at virtually no cost. It was a vision of universal free energy. He needed a monumental stage for this dream. He found it in Shoreham, Long Island. In 1901, construction began on the Wardenclyffe Tower. It was a massive, peculiar wooden structure, 187 feet tall, capped with a 55-ton copper dome. Below the surface, Tesla's workers dug a vast network of subterranean tunnels. Some said they went 300 feet deep, mined with iron piping. It was intended to be a massive electrical ground that would serve as the anchor for the planet-spanning wireless transmissions. The project was funded by a new patron, the wealthiest man in America, J.P. Morgan. Morgan was not interested in free energy, he was interested in communication, specifically a transatlantic system to compete with Marconi and corner the stock ticker and telegraph markets. Tesla, consumed by his vision, knew he had to keep the free energy aspect a secret from Morgan for as long as possible. He needed the capital to build the infrastructure, and then he would reveal its true revolutionary purpose. But the cost of the grand vision ballooned. Tesla demanded expensive, custom-made equipment, and the vast scale of the copper dome and the subterranean network quickly devoured Morgan's initial investment. When Tesla finally revealed the full scope of his plan, the transmission of power, not just messages, Morgan was apoplectic. Morgan was a banker. He understood monopolies, metering, and profit. A system of free power was the antithesis of everything he stood for. "Where do I put the meter?" he famously asked, and upon realizing the answer was nowhere, he withdrew all further funding. Wardenclyffe became a monument to a world that might have been. The unfinished tower, standing starkly against the sky of Long Island, was a perfect expression of Tesla's life, magnificent, revolutionary, and ultimately incomplete. Part 5. The Final Decades and the Unseen Legacy. The loss of Wardenclyffe broke Tesla. The subsequent years saw his increasing isolation, his descent into eccentricities, and the slow, tragic crumbling of his public reputation. He moved from luxury hotels to smaller, cheaper ones, spending his days feeding the pigeons in Bryant Park, a ritual that became his most famous peculiarity. Yet his mind remained a torrent of invention. His later work, often dismissed as the ravings of a mad scientist, contained concepts that would only be proven or built decades later. Remote control. He demonstrated the first successful radio-controlled boat in 1898, a groundbreaking feat of wireless technology that was the direct precursor to drones, missiles, and remote-controlled toys. The Tesla Thermine, a bladeless, revolutionary engine that achieved efficiencies far beyond the piston engine. The particle beam weapon, Death Ray. Though never built, his proposals for a defensive weapon based on charged particle acceleration were studied seriously by world powers for decades, forming the theoretical basis for modern beam technology. He died alone in the New Yorker hotel on January 7, 1943, at the age of 86. His passing, in the midst of World War II, was largely unnoticed by the public. However, 3 days after his death, the U.S. government, specifically the Office of Alien Property Custodian, swooped in and seized all his papers, research, and technical drawings. The FBI was reportedly concerned that Tesla, who was not a U.S. citizen,
might have left technology vital to the war effort that could fall into enemy hands. A young MIT engineer named John G. Trump, uncle of future President Donald Trump, was called in to assess the papers. After a brief review, Trump dismissed the bulk of the final research as speculative and philosophical and having no value. But the fate of all of Tesla's papers remains a mystery. While some were eventually released to his family, many highly sensitive boxes of documents vanished into the vaults of the U.S. government, remaining classified for decades. Did they contain the true secrets of wireless power transmission? The complete blueprint for the particle beam? The answer remains locked away, fueling a century of speculation. The American audience today uses the legacy of Nikola Tesla every single moment of their lives. Every electric light, every cell phone charger, every fan, every industrial motor. They all run on the alternating current system he perfected. His name lives on not just in the units of magnetic flux density, but in the world's most famous electric car company, a testament to the fact that his vision for the future of energy was not only correct, but perpetually ahead of its time. His story is the phantom image in the mirror of American ingenuity, a brilliant immigrant who laid the foundation for the entire modern world, only to have his revolutionary gifts, free energy, and global wireless power deliberately rejected by the forces of commerce and control, leaving him a penniless recluse while the world lit up with his light.